The next one I received is getting someone to accept that they need help. This again is all about how you approach the situation. So if you are with someone or you have a friend and you're around them and you're like, they could really use some help, whatever it is that they're struggling with. You need to know why it is that you feel like they need help. So do they need help because you want them to get help? Why do they need help? How are you going to tell them that they need help? You have to think of all these different questions to really figure out why you think this about this person, why you want them to accept that you feel like that they need help. You know what I mean? Like, you have to make a valid point. So with that, you also need to be aware of when and how you're telling them that they need help. Are you waiting until something happens and everything's blowing up and you saying you need some help? Or is it, hey, I'm coming to you as a friend and I'm genuinely concerned. I feel like you need some help because this, and this. And that's just one of the best ways to communicate is by taking responsibility. And this is actually a skill that I use with my clients in group. It's called using I statements. So I communication that focuses on the feelings or beliefs of the speaker rather than thoughts and characteristics that the speaker attributes to the listener. And that's how you use an I statement. So instead of saying, you need some help because I feel worried, now that person is defensive and all they heard was, you need some help, instead of, I feel worried when you do this, or I feel worried because you are exhibiting these behaviors when you do this and I feel like you need some help. So using an I statement can help that person become aware of the problematic behavior that they're doing, and it forces the speaker to take responsibility of his or her thoughts or feelings rather than putting them on the other person. So that just kind of reinforces positive communication. It helps them, and it may help them become stronger because now they're sharing those emotions, and now they're like, oh wait, like, dang, I'm doing this and it's actually affecting you. Like, I didn't realize that. So it just kind of helps breathe that positive communication, and now it takes down that wall, and it gives that person, time to feel like, okay, maybe I do need some help because now I see how it's affecting this person. Instead of blame, pointing the finger, that person, they don't understand because all they hear is it's their fault, but they don't understand how it's affecting you. So you need to be ready if you're going to have this conversation of telling someone that they need help. You need to be ready to take responsibility of your thoughts and your feelings, and then try to get them to understand why it is that you feel that they need help. So you kind of got to prove your case. Like, it's like you in court and you got to prove your case. So, because most people may not think they need help because they don't see nothing wrong. They don't understand what's wrong. They're like, this is how I've been, this is how I was taught, this is how I was raised, so why do I need help? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people, it's human nature to be kind of stuck in your ways. You get stuck in this routine, you get stuck in this system, you go by what you were taught, you go by what you've learned, you know what I mean? So they may not think that they need help, and they really may not understand it, but them understanding the effect that they're having on other people will kind of, assist in getting them to accept it. But this will also take a lot of patience. Getting someone to accept that they need help will take patience, understanding, and the willingness to understand that you can't help everybody. So say you do all these things and you pour out to them and you're like, I'm truly concerned, and you do your part as a friend, as a partner, or whatever it is, and they don't accept your help, you can't help everybody. And you've done your part, and sad to say that's just how it is. Even in the counseling world, I have so many clients, and I've seen so many clients that, I do everything that I can, especially as a case manager. I will do everything that I can. I'll find you all these resources, I'll get you into our program, all this stuff, and then you don't show up for your intake. Okay, like, I did my part and I wish them well, and don't take that as a personal attack. Just know that that person is not ready for that help, or they just don't understand, and you did your part. So yeah, that's that. Sip some more tea. Signs that someone should get help, or knowing that they have a mental illness. So the first thing is there are definitely signs that can be concerning, like if you see self-harm behaviors, or if you see aggressive behaviors, whatever it is, those are signs. Now, they may not be a sign of a mental illness, and that's kind of what we all need to get away from as a society, of self-diagnosing. I know my boyfriend Xavier was actually just talking about this earlier today, and he was asking me, do I think that it's become more of like a fad, or are there more people claiming these diagnoses? Like, are they really being diagnosed? You can explain to them your concerns. You can encourage them to seek out help, or seek, a professional if you would like them to get a diagnosis. But with that, you don't want to like live by a diagnosis. You don't want to make that be who you are, or make that person feel like, any less of themselves by telling them that you feel like they should go seek help. The best thing I would say is just, if treatment is best for them, or if you feel like they're in danger of harming themselves or someone else, or they're just, exhibiting these reckless behaviors, or they're just not doing well for themselves, then like I said, you kind of go back to my other question of how to get someone to accept that they need help, and just come to them from a point of compassion and things like that, to kind of help them see what you see, if it is like a big issue and a big problem. But then also be aware of what you contribute to that. So are they exhibiting behaviors or things in reaction to something else? Just kind of be aware of the whole situation. You don't want to just put all these things on this one person, and say that they need help, and not be aware of their surroundings, and not kind of be aware of everything. So that's why it's best to kind of seek professional help in those situations, because you just never know. There's so much that goes into it, that you don't want to diagnose somebody when you don't have the proper education and experience to do that. So yeah, the next question I received was, how do you explain anxiety versus nervousness? So that's a really good question. And anxiety and nervousness, like for me, in my opinion, anxiety is almost the thought process, in the sense of things, the unforeseen things that could possibly happen. They really may not happen, but made all this stuff up in your mind of what could happen. For me, that's what anxiety is. It's all these possibilities. It's all this undefined effects, and all type of situations that could happen. You don't have any reason to believe that they can happen. You don't have any reason to believe that they did happen, or they happened before, so they could happen again. Anxiety is literally the thought process of what could happen, and just kind of creating these scenarios in your head. Nervousness, in my opinion, is more so you're nervous because of something. So you have a speech coming up, and you're nervous because of your speech. You are nervous to walk by this group of people because last time you did, someone made fun of your pants. You know what I mean? Like, nervousness is more so you're reacting to something. It's because of or it's experienced. The same with fear. Fear can happen because something happened before. You're fearful of frogs because a frog jumped on you before. You're not anxious about them. You know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of the difference for me that I can explain. And then again, another question was, do I think that anxiety is a common fad, or is it just now being brought to light more? And this is kind of like a double-edged sword. Like, you never know if more people are just starting to speak up about it because now people are feeling more comfortable, or you don't know if, you know, more people are starting to say, oh, I deal with that because it's happening more. So that's just kind of like a double-edged sword. You just never know. Some people are now just able to speak up about it more because it's been expressed more in our society. It's been expressed more on social media. So now more people are feeling comfortable with expressing it. But then that can, like I said, it can also be the opposite, where more people are just having this access to this information and they feel like they can relate to it. So now they're self-diagnosing and they're doing these things. So that can really go either way. Yeah, that could go either way. But like I said, self-diagnosing and just talking about it more has definitely been more present in our society. Was how do you tell someone to push through? And this is kind of, you have to be careful with this because you don't want to come across as not understanding or judgmental or whatever it is. So if you're trying to tell someone to push through their anxiety, you need to think about how they're going to take that. You need to think about what that really means to someone. You don't know if that's going to trigger them. You don't know if they're trying to push through and they can't push through. You don't want to come to somebody and say, get over it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not really helpful to someone who's down. Now, it can help motivate them and it can help bring them back, but you just need to know what your relationship is with that person that you're trying to help push through things. If you know that person needs get your ass up and come on, you know what I mean? Like, you just have to know who your audience is and who you're trying to help. Yeah, and just be aware of what you're saying and how they're going to take that, and if you're really trying to help them, or if you're saying it like, you know, get over it. Like, just kind of be aware. And religion, and how do those correlate? Because as a Christian, we are taught and we believe that, you know, you have faith and you have faith in God and all these things, and part of anxiety can be the sense of the unknown. But that's part of having faith. You have faith in God to provide for the unknown. You know what I mean? So they do correlate. But for me personally, as a Christian and as someone who has dealt with anxiety, I know that I can pray and I know God will get me through those things, but that doesn't negate my feeling. That doesn't negate how I feel, because I know that God is real and I know that I'll get through it. That doesn't negate the process that I'm going through to get there. So the whole just go pray. Like, that, to me, is taking away that person's power to feel how they feel. With African Americans and those in church, it is just go pray. Like, you believe in God, why do you feel this way? God's gonna provide. But then now you're taking away their feelings. Now you're taking away their right to feel the way that they feel. So yes, I still feel anxious. Yes, I still have all these things going on in my head, but that doesn't take away the fact that I believe in God and I have faith. You know what I mean? Like, and that may not make sense, but you can't tell someone you can't be sad because you believe in God. You can't feel that way because you believe in God. Like, we're still human, and yes, we believe in God. Like, I don't know how to really explain that. That's just how I feel. Getting down to the end, the next question is what to look for in a therapist. So for me, what to look for in a therapist is looking for somebody that you can trust, looking for somebody that you can build rapport with, looking for somebody that you can, you know, that you feel like they're your best friend, because you can just literally pour it all out to them, but you need to feel like you are, you know, you're receiving what you need from them. So look, what to look for in a therapist is whether it's somebody that is religious based, whether it's somebody who has experience in trauma. You know, there's all these specialties that that therapists have that they deal with in, you know, their specialty areas. So look for those things. If you want to go to somebody for anxiety and depression, look for a therapist that may specialize in that. If you want to go to somebody for marriage counseling or for childhood trauma, you know what I mean? Like, find somebody that's in a specialty area that you need, and then that way they can kind of relate more on those bases, because there's so many therapists out there and there's so many like theories and different therapies that therapists can do with their clients, but you want to look for somebody that kind of specializes in the things that you need. And then also look for somebody affordable, that takes insurance, just all those types of things. There's so many different things, but look for somebody who you feel like you can relate to, or that can relate to you in a sense. Like if you want to go to, if you're a female and you only want to go see a female therapist, male therapist, vice versa, just look for those things that you would want in somebody that you're about to spend time with. And then also, if you don't want to go speak with someone one-on-one, there's a website called BetterHelp, betterhelp.com. I'll put it down in the description box. It is an online therapy service, and so you can talk to your counselor online. The fees are way cheaper than going in person. They're available like 24/7. I'll put all that information down below, but that is a good resource as well if you don't want to go, face to face with the therapist. Is tips for family members dealing with it, knowing their triggers, do's and don'ts, things like that. I think the most important thing of being a family member or a friend or whoever of someone who's dealing with mental health, know what it is that they need from you, know what it is that you can give to them. First and foremost, just be there for them, whether that's physically, whether that's checking up on them, calling them, sending them a text, or hey, did you eat today? Because a lot of the times when some people struggle with some mental health issues or different things, they may not eat, they may not bathe, they may not do, certain types of things. So just kind of checking in on them. And just being compassionate and understanding that sometimes you got to meet people where they are. That is a huge thing in therapy. You got to meet the client where they are. So if a person is down here, kind of meet them there and kind of go through them with that there. Here, time I remember all this, and this. When they so deep down in it, they can't even think about up here. You know what I mean? So meet that person where they are, but that doesn't mean come back at them. You know what I mean? It's triggers. That is super important. So if you feel like you are dealing with a friend, a family member that may have some mental health issues, and you're starting to become aware of their triggers, and being aware of what sets them off. Now, don't necessarily walk on eggshells around that person, but become aware. And kind of the wrap up of this will be preventative measures, how to keep a healthy mind, and then also kind of staying away from things that can alter or corrupt your thinking. So some preventative measures that you can take to keep a healthy mind: self-care. So like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Nicole Writing, her information will be down below as well, but she has some really good tips and worksheets and things like that on there that'll kind of help you make sure you're taking care of yourself, making sure you're taking care of your mind. Self-care is literally the most important thing a person can do to keep a healthy mind, because if you are completely drained, if you are not taking care of yourself, now you're more susceptible to everything else. So now you're more susceptible to negative thinking. Now you're more susceptible to being worn out because you're not taking care of yourself. So self-care, whether that's taking the time to just shut the door, if you have children, if you have, whatever it is, taking a day, taking an hour to just be by yourself or do something you enjoy is important. And then also, just finding what you enjoy, finding a hobby and making time for that. So that is one of the most, the most important thing that you can do to keep a healthy mind. And then also being aware of your surroundings and what kind of tips you off, what kind of puts you in a mindset of, and in what kind of puts you in an unhealthy space. You know what I mean? Like just being aware is super important. So, whether you need to journal, whether you need to go read your scriptures, whether you need to go pray, whatever it is, self-care. That is the biggest thing. Self-care Game on Point t-shirt, which I need to get one. So self-care. And knowing what things can alter your mind or corrupt your thinking, that can come from social media, that can come from friends, that can come from family members. Anybody that is bringing negative energy, negative thinking, negative anything into your space, that is when you need to cut them off or cut that off to protect yourself, to not alter your thinking, to not allow that negativity to come into your life. And for me, I have no problem blocking it out. If you texting me, or if you calling me, or if you a coworker and you complaining about something and I feel like you altering my positive space, I'm gonna block you out. Because for me, I can't allow that. I can't allow, people to corrupt me in that way, my positive space. Now, that's not saying be rude or anything, but definitely protect yourself, protect your mind. So yeah, self-care. So that is all for this video. Again, thank you guys so much for sending me your questions. This was like one of my favorite videos to film so far. I will continue to talk about mental health and things like that, so continue to send me your questions you may have. I'm gonna put my email address down below if you guys want to send me questions there, just like as they come up. Or I think that's it. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Video.